Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of a thing that we'll get to in a second. Are you ever cleaning your workbench and you find a wheel pin and you think to yourself, oh no, that's going to be a problem later. That fell out of someone and something unknown. Let's put that right up there by King Lobster. That's the pin. Somebody's three-wheel drive. Somebody is maybe, possibly, potentially three-wheel drive. This is another installment of the Spiderbuild Chronicles. One would reckon the penultimate installment of the Spiderbuild Chronicles. After this, he will be a free man. He will be on the loose, and we've got something already set up because yesterday, relative to the recording of this, not relative to when you're watching it. I don't know when you're watching it. I'm not in control of you. I painted it. I was browsing for other things on Gmade, and I saw the paint, and I said, yes. Painted it. It was about 2.5 hours to fully complete the body because I did what I would call a box body, which is you attempt to get your body to approximate what's on the box. This rig is part of the Crawler Canyon Summer Giveaway Series, so this will be going on to a forever home that is not the Canyon. So we wanted to give you, it's a good-looking guy. It's a good-looking guy. Let me pull out this guy. We got him all finished up, got him all wired. I didn't know these were a thing. I have long said that I'm not a servo extension guy. I don't like extensions. I didn't know these little clippy guys exist. You put that clippy guy on, I put a zip tie on the other end. Bring them on. Bring on the servo extensions now because you can't put that. Let's make sure we got enough room to spin them. You can't put that there because the floor of the body drops down enough that it won't fit. It is a pretty flat belly. We've got 1.3 pound springs in the front, 1.5 in the rear. I've gone with deep offset Injora wheels, primarily because this guy is not 10th scale. The Spider is 8th scale when it's all done up. 340 millimeter wheelbase. So when he was in at about 10.5 inches wide, he genuinely seemed oddly narrow. So we have we've blasted him out a little bit. He's 290 wide. That's a wide boy. Not as wide as one would imagine when your wheelbase is 13.5 inches, 340 millimeter, and that is the stock wheelbase. It was also mentioned in a comment, either in a comment or the live stream, where someone said, "I want to see a fan up there on that." And yes, standard fan pattern just bolts right on. It is not attached to power. The end of it terminates right here. I don't want the sound of all the time whenever it's powered up. It's bad enough that the radio selection for it it's a perfectly fine radio. And honestly, there are moments when I probably should have the warning notification that, oh, you've left your radio on again. It's like 2 minutes. Beep-doop. And when you're filming videos and you pause to talk, that can get very annoying. You will notice, for those who remember the last time he was powered, that looks a little different. Yeah, came out this morning to do what we're doing right now. Powered it up. Absolutely nothing from the Reefs 422 HD with titanium gears. Absolutely stone cold dead. Tried it on another receiver, tried many other things, grabbed the nearest servo on the bench, which was this one, plugged it in, everything working fine. So it's not the receiver, it's not the BEC, it's not any of that. The servo just decided, and of course, this was all wired up. So that was 45 minutes ago. Had to completely, because you got to take stuff apart, everything is kind of integrated into itself. This radio does great for the 2-speed, high gear, low gear. The perfect use, in my opinion, for things like the Reedy 1523. They're not really good for anything else. Absolutely fantastic for things like shifting a 2-speed. It's on channel 4. So that is low. That is high. We even got it aimed the correct direction. Up for high, down for low. Nice. Steering, much quicker than it was before. The Sense Cam, we'll see how the Sense Cam does. That will be the servo that will be accompanying, and it is the Fusion Quick Run SE of an, I think it's an 1800. I think it's an 1800. It has been a minute. Sometimes installments are spaced pretty far apart. So as I mentioned, I had finished the body, and as I was putting the body together, I was blown away of how much 10.3 CJ7 this thing actually is, right? In terms of big, long gearbox, in terms of, the body. So, as I said, Amazon, A-Main Hobbies, looking through, because I needed to buy blue and red for another build series, and there it was. Corsa Gray. The color that I have been like, you know what? One day I want to try that Corsa Gray. Oh, I just turned into Godfather from Generation Kill. I want to try that Corsa Gray. And now was the time. And I don't know about any of you, but I don't think I was wrong. Could it be perfect? It's blue. It's gray. It's got some snowy tones to it. I left these clear because I felt like I didn't want it to box the whole. There he is. The father of nightmares. The Gmade Spider-Man. We put the spiders on. We kind of copied the manual. Oh, I forgot. Somewhere on this bench is one that says gmade.net, and it's supposed to go right there. I don't know where it is. The body. This is, and there's a 37 on there because roughly in the approximation of it came from the Workbench series, it came from the Workbench volume 37, even though it isn't really. In terms of custom fabrication, no, I built a Gmade Spider kit, and I went with my own sort of paint scheme, and I'm happy with it. I would like the fuel cell to be red, but the doors are part of the cage, so the doors do not open, so there's really not a lot of point. I tried bodging a 6-inch figure in there, much like the CJ7, which we are definitely going to talk about again in a moment. This is a rig that wants a 7-inch action figure. So I spent a little while browsing Amazon trying to find 7-inch action figure. It's wrestlers and McFarlane Toys Spawn characters and like DC Universe. When I buy a driver figure, it tends to like jump out at me. And in the 7-inch, nothing jumped out. The cage is, I would go on record as saying more clever than the CJ7 design. But the similarities are that getting it on, there is such a narrow, okay, front's down. Then you got to get these tucked in. And if the sides aren't tucked in, the body post didn't come up through the back. But tell me this little blue-gray fella is not like... The CJ7 looks like a CJ7. This looks like somebody bought a Jeep and was like, I'm going to go rock crawling. Well, okay. Let me do a thing. Let's do a thing. Pardon me, Susan. Let me do a thing. Okay. Gmade Spider. Axial CJ7. Now, when you've seen them side by each, and we can take it a step further. I mean, yeah, okay, non-licensed, licensed, so you're going to pay that licensing money. Did Gmade make a CJ7? I think they kind of did. Only, what I think they've also done is they kind of, I don't know. We haven't rocked. So I can't go all the way to saying that they've improved it. But, and follow me along here. I grabbed the scale because I was very curious. I was like, these two things are very, similar to one another. And I remember on the interwebs, many people, there were already people who were doing a mod to bring the cage down, you know, sort of like, there it is, there's the doop, to bring the cage, you know, sort of down like that. These came out close enough together that they're like, they couldn't have copied that to make that. Anyway, I had them sitting side by each, as they are right now, and I said to myself, what are we looking at? What are we looking at? Let me tell you first. Let's start off this way. So, the 10.3 has had some work done. I fabricated these front motor mounts and then had them updated and lasered, send cut send, in order to adapt. We got a little outrunner in there. We've got a setup. This is a setup. So the amount of stuff that was put in here took almost a pound off of the weight of the Axial CJ7. This roller, as it sits right here, well, I'm sorry, that's not correct. This roller, as it sits right here with a battery installed, is 2,700 grams, as it sits right here. It would be heavier in RTR configuration, and this is effectively RTR configuration. The Spider, as it sits, is 2,640. They are 60 grams apart. 5.95 pounds, 5.82 pounds, as they sit right here. This guy's got a little bit of weight added onto him, yeah. So I think if you went lightweight, you could get this guy a little bit lighter than this guy. But I was amazed at how close they are. Amazed at how close they are. The bodies. 445 grams, as sits. This one is 700. This guy weighs about 3 ounces. So we'll give it a benefit of a doubt of 100 grams. So call it 600 grams, meaning it's still 150 grams heavier than the Spider. And that's because things like the seats are absolute tanks. The doors open, the center console opens. There's more details, certainly, like in the dash. It's got all the shifters. It's got cup holders. It's got all the things. There's more detail to this one, like the add-on stuff, right? So there's more weight to it. So when you put them side by side, RTR, 3,400 grams, 3,085, 7.5 pounds, 6.8. I was amazed to see the Spider at 6.8 pounds. Sub 7 pounds, he's a big boy. I did not anticipate sub 7. Also, we got LEDs in this. We've got some extra gubbins. We've got some bits and bobs. This guy needs a 7-inch figure. Otherwise, he would have a figure in him right now. Performance is the question mark. That is all up in the air. That's all up in the air. I still think, pardon me, sir, CJ Joe is going to sit over there for now. I still think the rear is oversprung, and that is a 1.5 pound spring back there. 1.3 in the front, and I think the 1.3 is perfect because it's sitting right where I want it. I think it's perfect enough that I don't want to flip the springs around and put the 1.5s in the front and the 1.3s in the rear. I think because of the length of the wheelbase, I think when we get over, we might see a little something. They still act quite soft. It's going to be very interesting. I'm very curious because my only prior experience with the GS02F is Buffalo Bill, and Buffalo Bill has always struck me as a trail rig. 100% trail rig that can crawl rocks a bit. This thing looks like a rock crawler. It does not look like a trail rig at all, especially when we blow it out. And here's the deal. These wheels, the 1905s, were on regular offset test protocol method 105 clones, just like this. They were tucked into, it didn't look right. It didn't look right. CJ7s in this style of Jeep, they need the inside of the tire to be like right where the fender line is. Where there's going to be no body interference on this boy. As I said, 11 3/8 inches, 290 millimeters wide. Too wide? I won't say yes. I won't say no. Because wider is better until it comes to the point where you're banging gates. But in terms of it, the drawbacks of a bunch of width, that list is small, and the list of advantages, like you can get way out here before you. How far can we go? Where's the tip point? It's right about there. So we're in that past. We're on full sidewall. And remember, the MT 1905s come on baby soft foams. Foam's so soft they feel almost like there's no foam in there at all. And there he is. And I think that is by design for this guy. We've got a little bit of air down look there in the front. We've got a little bit of air down. So maybe the overly stiff suspension won't scream at us. The shocks, the springs that it came with on the shocks in the kit were 4 pounds per inch. And mind you, 1.5, 1.3 and 1.5. And the rear droops about 6 millimeters. And the front droops probably 12 millimeters. So I'm thinking it needs like a 1.1 or a 1 pound spring in the back. I don't have those. The closest I have is an Element Green, which is 0.7. I think 0.7 is too soft and it would be collapsing over the back. It's all stock geometry. We haven't done anything to it. We haven't even wheeled it yet. But you know what we're going to do right now? We're going to see if this does the things. The Gmade GS02F Spider. And man, it looks good. Man, it looks good. If this thing has a, here's a 50-cent word, a modicum of performance hiding under its spidery web belt. Alternative to the CJ7? No, I would say I like this body better. If you're going to pull in 250 grams lighter-ish, light bar. That one you got to buy the light bar extra. Some concern. We'll see. It's not the same level of quality and detail that you get on that CJ7 body. But it is lighter. It's much lighter. I mean, 445 grams, a pound versus 1.5 pounds on the other one. For detailed, a pound is not bad. And it went together pretty easily. The holes are all in the right places. And it looks cool. If I hold it at the right angle, look, it's just straight gray. And then you get that blue coming out. What? Corsa gray, man. Corsa gray might have become one of my favorite colors just all of a sudden. Okay, we've talked enough. You know what we should do? Wheel, yeah? Anybody agree? Yeah, okay. Okay, he is definitely a bigger boy. He's also got some chirps. And the chirps are... Does it make sense if I say RPM specific but not? Which leads me to think drive shafts. I definitely didn't lube the universals because I like to use dry slide. And I don't like to use dry slide until we're ready to drive because otherwise you're going to get molly all over yourself. And molly is second only to anise in that it'll get on you and then get on everything. That's a big boy. That is a big, big boy. Yeah, that little chirpy chirp, little squeaky chirp. What I like to do is well, we got that out of the way. Whoo, we got that out of the way in a hurry. Soft foam. Got to remember the soft foam. But again, sub 7 on something this big. It's almost sprightly. Do I wish that in place of a 2-speed, which is common to the GS02F, so I get it, if there was dig in this instead of a 2-speed, sign me up. On the drive back, we dabbled in upper gear. It's ridiculously fast. Like, you could get away with a 1200 and then you would have enough wheel speed in second gear and your first gear would be absolutely impossibly slow. This guy is definitely going to have the same self-righting. We folded a mirror over. Oh, okay. My worries about, here's another one. I don't know how to exhibit it. I'm probably going to have to go grab the dry slide. The squeaking is getting worse. The center bar in the roll cage If you pick up a CJ7, a 10.3 CJ7 by that center bar, it feels like you're gonna pull the body off. When you pick this thing up by right here, it's just a handle. I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is. Other than maybe for the rear, they went with just a conventional body mounting situation. We're getting a little click to go along with our squeak. Is this... I have always reckoned the 10.3 to be something of a trail platform, which is why it always felt odd that it had a poorly functioning dig in it. I've always considered the GS02F to be a trail platform. Have they made a rock crawler out of a trail platform? Yeah. Yeah. Did they beat Axial at their own game? Yeah. 100%. The wheelability out of the box is not directly comparable. The 10.3 CJ7 flailed and floundered. And even with a lot of changes, these are the kit tires. We changed the wheels and the springs. And other than that, we're squeaky, squeaky kit. You know what I'm gonna check? Endpoints. We're gonna move setup. We're gonna go to staircase. I wanna see it on staircase. But before we get there, I am going to check, and I'm gonna triple check endpoints for the 14th time. And I'm gonna grab the dry slide and we're gonna lube those. I don't wanna, we've got enough birds chirping, we don't need a spider chirping too. As I was putting some molly on there, I think I figured out how to introduce a little more clarity into my comments of randomness, which is the RPM specific was that, like, I can tell that gear reduction is not a factor. So something at or beyond the ring and pinion is not what's squeaking. The squeaking sounds uniform, which generally means drive shafts, and it definitely was. I also had to put about 15% more into the endpoints between the servo that was here before. I should have checked that. Some push there. We got to get into an entry line, all right? You know, the 1.5 pound, the 1.5 pound spring, it might not be too bad. Oh, get the, oh yeah. All right. All right. Are we super optimal? I don't think so. For what is apparently, and this should be comforting to us one and all. Ordinarily, this is the phase of testing where we would have a ghost ride. Unfortunately, this body, much like the CJ7 body, is not conducive to the ghost ride because you have to bolt the front outer fenders on, and these have sticky tape on the inside of the fenders as well as being bolted on. You have to bolt those on in order to bolt the grill on in order to be able to mount it to the vehicle. So there are too many pieces that have to be screwed on. You kind of have to paint it. So what does this tell you? You can't ghost ride a Spider, which to me at least implies that there is no such thing as spider ghosts. And I think that should make us all comfortable, because spiders, as they sit, are already terrifying to many. Yeah, StabiliTrack. As I said, there are drawbacks to crazy width. The number of those drawbacks are outnumbered by the advantages of crazy width. It's fun to drive. It's a good one. And this is the 12-ish% underdrive. I'd like to see it on the even bigger, which is I think around 18%. Yeah, and they did a thing. Gmade, God bless them, they did a thing. that insert in that tire, 7-pound rig, absolutely working. Absolutely working. And I'm really fond of that CJ look, so I'm 100% on board with this guy. The question of durability and survivability will forever be there. This is the first time they've done the GA44 portal. It's all integrated. C-hub is part of the axle. Can't hold that against them. C-hub's part of the axle a lot of the time now. We've got a good stability. No scaling yet, but the CG seems okay for something that's this is a style that I like. I'm down with this style where the body sits up high, so we have plenty of clearance. We have no worries about clearance, but it doesn't impact the CG. It is far sprightlier than I would have anticipated. It will really move. And I can see the mod path, you know. It's got aluminum lower links. That is not optimal. A, because they're light. B, because aluminum doesn't slide super good. But I don't have any complaint about the GA44. I haven't really had any issues with the GA44s in the past. Ooh, he's so quiet now with that little bit of dry slide. Yeah, and it does say grease in the manual when you're assembling them, but I do not like to put grease in universals, actual grease, because it's lapping compound before you know it. A little bit of sand gets in there, and then those universals start getting sloppier and sloppier. The dry lube of your choice, liquid graphite, dry slide. Oh yeah, and you know what? Sense Cam Servo up there, the half height, doing the job. Absolutely doing the job. I just like to look at it. It needs a driver figure real bad. Real bad. If there'd been a 7-inch Spider-Man, you know I would have gotten it. Like, I would have ordered it, because Spider-Man and a Spider just seems like the thing. But no luck. So in terms of Workbench series and Canyon history, the 10.3 CJ7, the FMS FCX10 Blazer, and this guy all came in fairly close proximity to one another. The FCX10 nailed the scale, right? It is as fun out of the box as any rig I've ever driven, and perhaps more capable. They give you all the lights, they give you all the stuff. It's heavy, the body rolls around. It's like halfway the looks of an RC4 drive, but the performance of something, that you actually want to drive. This thing went for performance, and so far as I can tell, they hit it. Untuned, other than, I think we could probably go up in oil weight in the shocks. I don't think we're really being hurt by the 40 that's in there, but I think we could go 60 weight, 80 weight in there, even on these soft springs, to try to keep it under control a little bit. Does fall to the wheels a lot. Plenty of forward drive. 1905 is a great tire. I like to look at it. It's fun to wheel. It's top end speed on I get it. The 2-speed, no fault of the 2-speed, but 1800 kV is kind of in between. It's wide open throttle in low gear is not quite as spicy as I would want it to be, but it's a little too fast in second gear. So I think like a 1200, 1400 would make you use the second speed for things like self-righting. But then in terms of crawl, I mean, we get spoiled by fusions. We can do this. But you would have to utilize the 2-speed more. So a lower kV plant would make the 2-speed feel less vestigial, like that, oh, we don't need that, doesn't need to be there, this thing's just overly complicated. I personally, I don't think, in this day and age, the 2-speed is being phased out by the advancement of technology, where you can get FOC, you can get outrunners that will give you this incredible low speed control, low speed. The 2-speed harkens back a little more toward brushed, where the power band is not as wide. You know, I thought with this width, I thought we'd get over this. I want to see the anti-torque twist. Are we gonna put that passenger front? No. Second gear. I think we got this. Yeah, he falls to wheels most of the time. Ooh, can we second gear crawl? What's our torque loss? Hey. Little bit of rollback, but most rigs when you get into second gear, that's it. That's it. Torque is torque is off the menu, boys. I am back in first gear. Yeah, just a little underdamped here. That raise right there. If we could slow that suspension action down, just, yeah, that little blub blub, a little underdamped. Yeah, that rise. Oh, yeah. Tuning, you know, tuning that need be done. So yeah, there's the little stuff. The servo saver for the 2-speed is so smushy that you can't even feel it falling out of gear. You almost need a high torque servo to force it in. So sometimes you shift from high to low or vice versa, and it doesn't quite pop into the gear that you want to be in from the gear that you are currently in. The included kit springs are throwaways. It comes with plastic glue on wheels. That's not great. But many times we're buying for accessories, things like the body. That was well executed through there. Let's see. What's the wraparound look like? Approach and departure are pretty great. Breakover is decent, and again, high body, so he looks super tall, but CG's got to be down there fairly low, reasonably low, because he's a self-rider. He just rolls right back to wheels. The width is helping there as well. It just didn't look right narrower. And I think it's the additional 30 millimeters of wheelbase over a 10.3. I like a long wheelbase. I like to be in and around that 330 range. And we're here at 340. Nothing wrong with that. I think the 290 width is okay. I think we could maybe go in a little, but tell me, as he clings on over there, doesn't it look more spider-like? Is he not more spidery? He and or she? I was trying to think, what's the name? What's a big spider's name? I was like, Charlotte was a big spider. I don't know. I'm getting a dude energy here. I don't know why. Yeah, to wheels every time. It is fun. And it needs a little bit more tune to it. Ooh, that's portal clearance right there. He spidered right up that. That ball's gone. Yeah, it is pretty okay. It is pretty okay. If this was a quick view, if this had come in completely built and it was just like this, I would be like, yeah, let me put it this way. I wouldn't consider it an alternative to the 10.3 CJ7. I would consider it possibly the superior option, because it moved you've got your sacrifices On one end of the speedometer, you got performance, and then the other end, you have appearance. Sacrifices for vanity. It sacrificed less performance for vanity. Appearance. It doesn't quite have the level of detail of the CJ from Axial, but it inarguably has more performance. Yeah, this is the situation I think I might like a little bit more underdrive. But man, you don't have to get up. And with something this wide with a cage top, is that little slope on the back of that cage making this big of a difference? So we're half a pound lighter than the 10.3 CJ here. We feel a lot lighter, which is why you know how it works around here. We're gonna have to do these head to head. Ooh, that's not great. Get over. That soft foam is something to be contended with. Ooh, ooh, pivot it. Yeah, there you go. There's something oddly rewarding about it. And you will oft hear me remark, oh, this is between the wheelbase. Well, when your wheelbase is this long, it's hard to find something between your wheelbase. What happens instead is we get you these extreme angles. Just trying to get the right speed and the right bite. I often see things bandied about, like the most capable RTR, the best RTR. And I've never really understood that as a concept conceptually, because then you're hampered by someone else's choice of electronics, what they opted for. And in very few cases are the included electronics the ones that you would pick yourself. As a matter of fact, I think you might go so far as to saying that other than the Marksman, Red Cat Marksman, which is awful, but comes with a 1080 and a decent servo and a decent motor, not bad. Vanquish comes with a decent radio. We get some instances, but the RTR is always going to start on its heels, right? There's always something that's going to have to be accommodated. There are sacrifices for performance, there are sacrifices for vanity, and there are sacrifices for ready to run. I do not feel confident right here with the under damp coming off this descent. There it goes. 2 camera coverage on that one. So let's ignore/reject best RTR, because in order to get this where it is, we took a kit, Gmade GS02F Spider kit. We put a $70 Fusion in it. This radio is about $60. And we put in a servo. So we put in, let's say 70, 130. We basically put $200 of stuff into it. So yeah, it puts this guy up around $500, which is RTR of your choice plus $100 to basically do the same thing. What I'm saying is that when you get an RTR out of the box to where this is, you're going to have spent more than you spent on this. There is an economy built into putting your own electronics in a kit. This kit was not super difficult to build. It had some questionable moments. The width is, remember when I said that width is not always good? So, sometimes it'll bite you a little. There we go. Oh, oh. Yeah, this is a little bit extreme on the climb stuff for something that is completely untuned. But I think, ooh. Break it over. Nice. Nice. So in terms of most capable RTR, wheels. In terms of most capable RTR, I'm gonna say Gmade Spider kit. Because what we needed to do to render it competent, we changed the springs and the wheels. Because it comes with glue-on plastics. But who's still running their factory wheel? I will find the spots where width is not a benefit, and I will attack those spots. I don't think I can pull the line up onto the fence. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Yeah. Okay. Use that fence. Use that fence to your advantage. Nice. This guy will three-wheel motion with the best of them. It is surprisingly good. It genuinely is. And rock crawlers are $500. Anything you want to spend beyond that is up to you. This could have a Fusion Pro in it. This could have aftermarket tires or fancier, more expensive rims. It could have you throw a Reefs 800 LP in here. You could put a $160 servo in. So we can't consider any of that stuff. We've got to look. What am I looking at? I'm looking at what does the rig do? The hindrances placed upon RTRs are the stuff that you didn't pick that got chosen for you. Geometry, you didn't get to choose that. Somebody else chose that for you. That's not correctable. We don't have to worry about it here because this thing actually works. So I feel like Gmade done pretty good. Okay, yep. Gmade, we're not going to make it down off this. And do you want to know why? You know that plastic servo horn that I mentioned in one of the build videos is gone. Yeah, there we go. We almost got it set. Nope. Yeah, plastic servo horn gone. So yeah, I knew that was a bad idea. I'm going to have to machine up an aluminum horn to clear the panhard mount, and we're going to have to get that put together. So yeah, it is imperfect. The springs are not right. You can't put a plastic servo horn on a rock crawler. But other than that, I am more than pretty okay with it. We're going to get this guy sorted. We're going to get the suspension a little better sorted out. And we're going to face him off against the 10.3 CJ7. I want to see him side by side. I love a side by side. We're going to do a side by side. So that will come up in the future after this. What a great first run, though. It was so good. We blew out a servo horn. See if we can. Yeah, see. Can we get him to aim this way? No. I wish I could get down off of that. Not that way. Oof. That was not great. Other than that, it was great. We took some good tumbles. This obstacle is going to have a tumble-related name for sure, because it is a palace of tumbles. Thank you so much for coming along, everybody. The Gmade Spider is pretty solid. It's got some weaknesses, but none of those weaknesses are uncorrectable, and that is what is important. So I thank you again. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. What else? What else? Oh yeah, in between now and when we meet again, please one and all, do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time here from the canyon. I hope that a good time was had by all, even that guy with just his wheel sticking up over there, because he can't steer anymore. We will see you next time.